So the stormwater utility fee was supposed to be on last week's Metro Council agenda, or it was on last week's Metro Council agenda, and it was asked to be pulled by the mayor because along the way there was a non-disclosure agreement that didn't exist. There were a number of questions that came up. There were a number of town hall meetings where it was just shouted down repeatedly. Since that time, the mayor held a press conference basically blaming the parish attorney for the miscommunication, he air quoted, about the NDA. And Kelvin Hill has resigned as the CAO. Joining us now to talk about the stormwater utility fee and probably a lot more about the fallout is Metro Councilwoman Jen Racca. Jen, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. Good morning. I am excited, but also a little tired.
The Ole Miss game or?
Oh, no, just emails.
Wow. Okay. I would imagine it's kind of overwhelming right now, especially in your district. I've heard from a number of folks off the air. I've heard from a number of folks off the record that, let me stop right there. It was all off. Let me put a pin in that for a little bit later on in this conversation. Let's get back.
Can I clear one thing up?
Sure.
So it's actually Wednesday night. It's still on the agenda.
It's this Wednesday. I'm sorry.
No, I just want the public to know it is still on the agenda. The mayor's requested it for it to be deleted. However, folks can come in and still make public comment on the record should they want to talk about it.
I'm curious about that, if that's going to derail everything, because it's just at that, for lack of a better term, at that point it just becomes a bitch session.
Well, it does. So it can be deleted, and I have to check on this, but I'm pretty sure if it's deleted, it cannot be brought back for an entire year.
Ew.
Unless it has 8 votes by the council members. If it's voted no, same applies. 8 council members would have to vote to bring it back to be able to have it allowed back on the agenda for us to see it again. So the effect of it is the same. Okay. However, that's just if you want to have a conversation about it, if you want to go on the record, if you want to talk about it so you can be heard, you still have that ability to do so.
Which, yep, y'all would come off looking bad if you pulled it at this point.
Absolutely.
That would be, I mean, if everything started with an NDA that didn't exist, then if you're looking to pull it and avoid public scrutiny or public comment, that's the optics there are even worse than the where we're at now.
It really is. But so if we go back to when the district was developed, whenever we created the district, and I think that was the September 14th meeting, we didn't have a whole lot of folks come in and talk about it. In fact, if you remember, Dwight Hudson and I were the only 2 that were opposed to it. But we were told on the record, if we did create the district, then moving forward, it would potentially lessen the impact or keep the feds from coming in and punishing us per se. But I'm skipping over a lot.
No, well, and this is going to be disjointed because so much has happened in such a short period of time, and a lot of it was based off of nothing. So,
but it hasn't been. So let's look at it this way. We first heard about this in November of last year, presented by Kelvin Hill, who gave an excellent presentation about what the Stormwater Master Plan fee would look like. Mm-hmm. So if we go back and look, they've been presenting this to us since November. However, we thought it was very interesting that it's been crickets since then.
Right.
Since we heard about this early October, late September. We had a meeting with the mayor, 5 to 6 council persons apiece. And in that meeting, we met with consultants Black and Veatch, who did this PowerPoint presentation to tell us exactly what was going on and what things look like. In that meeting, we were told that because the federal government was involved, there were things that we just could not talk about, and there was a gag order but no one talked about an NDA. It was gag order at the time.
Okay.
And then fast forward to the September 14th meeting, I think it was item number 74. It was passed and approved to hire outside counsel for an additional $200,000 worth of money to hire outside counsel, and you could go into executive session. Well, that was passed and approved, and I leaned over and said, hey, like 4 or 5 items later, what's going on with it? What is this for? Why are we hiring these attorneys? Can we revisit this item? Mm-hmm. So we revisited the item, went into executive session, and that's where the wheels came off of all of this. All of it.
Okay.
That's and I can't speak to what happened in
I was gonna
executive
say.
session, but that's whenever you saw everything unfold. In that particular meeting, we had some pretty tough questions and some aha moments. And like I said, I cannot speak to that. So later, let's skip that piece. We come back out. It's moved and approved to give these folks $200,000. We had already spent, and I'm speaking solely based upon what we had on that agenda item. We'd already spent $50,000 for this outside firm.
Okay.
And then we approved an additional $200,000.
Okay.
So at some point, that firm was hired early on. Don't know when. And that firm was directly related to what we're talking about now.
Okay.
Okay. So moving forward, council members were all kind of confused about, hey, what just happened?
Yeah.
And why didn't our parish attorney come to us and say, I have an item on the agenda that's coming up and it pertains to this, and this is what we need done here? No conversation was had. No email was sent. Our attorney that we appoint did not come to us and have that conversation with us.
What was the outside counsel being hired for?
It's related to the stormwater issues.
Okay. I'm curious, like,
None of us signed an NDA, so I cannot speak specifically to what they were hired for, and I cannot speak to what we talked about in executive session.
because you're not privy to, well, the executive session part, I understand. Okay.
Again, remember, we first learned of all of this when we were in executive session,
Right.
which we're prohibited from speaking on.
Okay.
Now,
I'm trying to figure out how to unpack the rest.
so let's unpack it this way, and then we can clear up some questions potentially, but we're still trying to find answers. We are still livid.
Mm-hmm.
So another council member is at an event and runs into Garrett Graves
Okay.
and says, hey, can you tell me about NDAs and DOJ and EPA and all these things? And Garrett's like, what? So he starts doing some homework for us. And then he shares that tweet where he's on the phone. I shared it, and I'm like, I'm an absolute no. This is bizarre. We've been misled. I wanted to find out where the miscommunication is coming from. We need some answers. And then everything starts rolling downhill all over the place. Things explode from there.
So, okay, as far as where the miscommunication came from, I think we all want to know that. I think we all would. I'd like to either hear from the mayor or somebody within the mayor's office to say, this is what the EPA said that made us believe that there was an NDA that was required.
So, okay, let's say as your lawyer, okay, I'm going to say, show me the paperwork.
Right.
Show me the document that says we need an NDA.
Right.
Or did the parish attorney's office draft an NDA and say, I need the council to sign this because I don't want you talking to the news media?
Okay, but if that's the case, then why? Why would that be drafted? Even if it was internally, why was it drafted internally? And since then, the mayor
in an attempt to control us?
Okay, well,
I don't know.
See, that's the part. That's the hard part about this is there's so many things that we just don't know. And I'm left with, and I'm not accusing the mayor's office of anything, but I feel like we've been lied to. And I don't use that word often, but that's the feeling that's had here is, okay, most of this was Andy Dodson's fault. Well, Andy Dodson's been an attorney for a good bit of time. Like, what got him on that path? I would like to have his back and be able to say, oh, yeah, I see where you saw that.
Andy Dodson is very well liked by the community.
Yeah.
He's a good attorney. Now, this is something where the council has messed up, and I'll go on the record saying this forever and a day. We had the opportunity to change the plan of government where we gave the mayor her own lawyer. Okay. We didn't do that. We had people that worked for months and months, maybe even years, on perfecting our plan of government to modernize it and make some significant changes. One of those changes was give the mayor her own attorney. Mm-hmm. We have a parish attorney that we've questioned. You asked me on the show whenever we're talking about the homeless ordinance ban, who does he work for?
Yes, I did. And
here we are yet again. Who does he work for? Who is his loyalty to? And it's not necessarily his fault, but it may be by design. But the reality of it is, if I were in that position, I would have cleared that up a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And he has the power to give contracts out, obviously, as we see here, for outside counsel. Why hadn't the mayor received a contract for outside counsel instead of us playing tug of war with the attorney that we're supposed to have representing the council?
Okay, the pieces that we still don't understand, I don't think are going to be sifted out anytime in the near future, but they will be sifted out. I mean,
there are pieces that are going to be coming. Pay close attention. There are
oh,
pieces that are
we're all in.
will be unfolding within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Oh wow, that quickly. Okay,
there will be pieces.
Well,
now there are some council members that want public records requests to come out, and they want.
Well, your name's on that request too,
and they're wanting to wait for those things. I don't need to wait to understand that I was misled, or I wasn't fully informed, or that someone was not forthcoming to me and advising me, knowing that something was coming up. I don't need to wait for that.
Let's see if we can work through, and we've got about 5 minutes left. Let's see if we can work through one or two of the things that are still sitting out there. Kelvin Hill's resignation Friday. Did Kelvin Hill need to resign here?
So I think a lot of people need to resign here.
Oh.
A lot of people need to resign. And I think resigning is the best thing to do. One thing you have to give the mayor props for is she made somebody take accountability within her administration. The council appoints the parish attorney. We haven't done that yet.
Right.
Where's the accountability there? And do we look weak if we don't?
Okay, so that's a very interesting turn of phrase, though, because it's different phrasing to say the mayor's making someone take accountability and giving her props for that versus Kelvin's a fall guy.
And he may possibly be, but regardless of whether he is or he isn't, she removed someone from her administration. Mm-hmm. It needed to be done.
Is there anything in this stormwater thing that we don't know? Because I've been learning things along the way.
It depends on how closely you read. Mm-hmm. Initially, whenever I had the plan presented to me in small, tiny, I just got new glasses and new contacts. Okay. But in tiny little language at the bottom, there was an asterisk that in 2026, we were all presented, go find your calculation online. Click this link and it'll tell you how much impermeable space that you have, permeable space that you have, and you can make this calculation based on your square footage, right? So most of us came up somewhere between $200 to $500, depending on your home, your space, how many properties you own. Well, what it didn't say, or what I didn't see clearly written, is in 2026, that fee will likely double.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad, and this was going to be bad enough for small business, too.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, the space that's involved is however much concrete you got on your property. That's the simple.
So let's talk about your house, your swimming pool, your carport, your driveway, your side, anything that you have on there that is not grass. Mm-hmm. It counts into your square footage. Right. If you have a single story home that takes up more square footage than a 2-story home, then it counts. But the reality,
you've got a used car lot or a grocery store
or an Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Or an Amazon.
I mean, just let that sit for a minute. Well, actually, we don't have time to let that sit for a minute. What else is in there we don't know about?
Fee doubling was the biggest thing, mm-hmm. The thing that was a huge red flag for me, because if we're talking about transparency, how many people have heard about the fee doubling in 2026?
First time I've heard about it.
We've had public meeting after public meeting. Which person has said, hey, it potentially doubles in 2026?
Nobody. And for the budget itself to quadruple, that left a lot of questions right there. Like, it has to quadruple overnight.
Do we need it? Do we need $40 million for drainage and maintenance? Absolutely, we do.
For drainage and maintenance, but there's also the pollution into this, which is the first question I had was, why is the EPA involved? Water falls from sky, water drains off, water goes back into the rivers and streams and whatnot. At what point does the water get dirty was one of my questions there.
Go follow Keep Tiger Town Beautiful, and you'll see exactly how the water gets dirty. No, it's nasty.
But there are pollutants and cleaning that has to be involved as well, as far as, and not just dirty as in like having Dasani bottles or whatnot. Right. We're talking about chemicals and everything. Yeah. So that end of it as well. We literally have just 1 minute left. 24 to 48 hours. We're going to learn a lot more. How soon can we get you back in?
Let's Thursday or Friday.
I'm out Thursday or Friday. Can we have you back on Monday this time?
Yeah. Hey, do you want to have maybe another council member and we can spar? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm down with that. No, for sure.
We're actually all working really well together right now on this. And we're pretty aligned. So if you wanted to have a couple, both sides of the aisle, I would love to have somebody come on.
I've had a rotation going thus far. It started off with asking if you were going to sign an NDA, and it's just really gained a lot of momentum and steam since then, because the more we unravel, the worse this thing is getting. In the meanwhile, I greatly appreciate you coming in for a couple minutes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. She is Metro Councilwoman Jen Racca, who just confirmed will be on at 8:15 next Monday as well. I probably should check my calendar and make sure that segment's not already booked. If it is, they're getting bumped because Jen has precedence. Hey, we got CBS News coming.